Hey everyone, Mana back here with another Destiny 2 strategy guide, and this is going to be a complete guide on how to complete the exotic quest Presage on the Master difficulty. Sorry if I'm getting this video up just a little bit later. It's been a crazy week, but I wanted to make sure that I gave this to my audience and do, as always, a complete walkthrough with narration so that you know what's going on, all the things that are happening, and how you should best chart your path if you are going to tackle this challenge. Let's go ahead and show you the loadout I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a top tree Nova Bomb Warlock. I'm also going to be charging a ton of grenades. I'll show you how the build works here in just a second. I'm going to be using the Succession Sniper Rifle. Any sniper will really do. An Ikelos SMG, a submachine gun. I'm primarily using this for the Demolitionist perk here. Again, grenades are really important, so that helps me build grenade energy. Anarchy, as always, being a really top tier contender for PvE content. I'm also using a number of Warmind cell builds. For example, I'm using Fireteam Medic, which will allow me to get some health back when I destroy a Warmind cell, as well as Ashes to Assets. Again, trying to get as much grenade energy as possible. The star of the show is Controverse Holds, so I can charge grenades and get a lot of grenade energy back. You could use Warmind's Protection, which is what I use, but you could also use Protective Light if you're doing a charged with light build. As always, you're going to want to make sure that you have submachine gun loader or any kind of loader for your primary weapon there. Next up, I'm using double concussive dampeners. That's very important because there are a lot of opportunities to die here from screebs sneaking up on you, and I'm really careful with this. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about the other things as well. Rage the Warmind, good Warmind cell mod, and of course you do need to pair that with Wrath of Rasputin. Those two things together are absolutely awesome, as well as Global Reach, which is on my class item. But let's go ahead and talk about the rest. Grenade Launcher Scavenger plus Recuperation, where I get to get health back. I'm going to try and get as much health as I possibly can. I'm using double bombers so that I can use my class ability, my Rift, to get lots of grenade energy back. And of course, there's my Global Reach there with my Iron Bond. So the whole idea with this is that I'm going to be able to use grenade energy a lot to go ahead and take out a lot of enemies, as well as a lot of shields, especially a lot of elemental energy. If you complete this flawlessly with a fire team or solo, you'll get that cool emblem. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the path here. Again, if you have not watched the original version of the Presage solo flawless video that I did, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the top right hand corner right now, as well as in the description box below. That is something you should definitely tackle because this is a significantly harder challenge. The biggest thing, you have a clock. You only have 25 minutes to complete this. There are some significant challenges as well, like match game, for example. One thing that is marked on the screen when you load in is that there are supposed to be champions and the mob modifier is on there. However, there are no champions inside this mission. So I'm not sure why that spawned up there when you go into the master difficulty, but it does. If you can see here, what I'm trying to do is make sure that I speed through this opening section as quickly as I possibly can. Time is of the essence, and every second is going to make the final room easier for you. Unfortunately, I got some bad luck on this run. I've actually done a couple of runs where I got a lot of better timing when I was in the middle room in the hangar bay. But we'll go ahead and show you what's going on and what things you should be looking out for here. Again, I'm trying to maintain as much speed as possible, and I pretty much memorized all these routes. I did a couple of runs of this. I'm not going to lie, this is not something that you're going to get your first time through. It's going to take a couple of runs for you to get through, despite the fact that you've probably seen some videos of people getting this done. I know for certain that they probably had to do a couple of runs. All right. Because time is of the essence, you are going to run by a lot of these screebs in this opening area. For example, here, as long as you are careful in where you jump, you can avoid all the damage from those screebs. Now, you have to be careful because sometimes they will jump in your way. So you need to make sure that you understand how they move. I like to go up an upper platform and then jump around them, have them explode, and then move on. Again, this is another area where you're going to just go ahead and skip all these screebs. As soon as they spawn in, we're going to move. Those screebs up in that upper area can move to different locations, so you got to keep an eye on them because they may follow you out of the room and explode on your way out. Right here, I'm going to charge a grenade here so that all of these screebs down here will try to follow up to the path where I jumped up. and hopefully I'll be able to knock out a significant portion of them. Unfortunately, some of them will still survive, and you want to make sure that you get out of a tight spot as quickly as possible. Here again, we're going to jump over to the lever. Very basic on this, but you're trying to save as much time as you possibly can. Here, I'm actually going to switch to Anarchy just so I can take a second and make sure I don't die in this opening section. You can see that there's still some screebs and they're not close to death. I'm basically just putting up a shield there. If you kill all of the screebs, you don't have to put those Anarchy shots there. You just have to make sure that you don't die. All right, folks, this is what I did in the trash compactor room. You certainly can do the cheese where you go and you let the trash compactor smash on itself, but that wastes a significant portion of the time. A better way to do this is to look for the first 2 grates right here, and sometimes you'll get lucky. Charge a grenade and then throw it on out to create a wall around yourself so that you can take a look for the fuses up around where you need to go. You can at least check the back areas really easily and you can stay alive. If you use a wall of Anarchy right there, you'll be in good shape and you should be able to easily check out where the fuses are. Sometimes you'll be lucky and spawn a Warmind cell as well. If that happens, try to hit it as quickly as possible so you can knock out all of the screebs, but you'll also knock out all the grates in there too. In this room here, there are a lot of different ways to do this, but I am going for pure unadulterated speed. I want to get through this room as quickly as possible, again, to save time. I set up some Anarchy, but most importantly, I'm going to go ahead and use my Nova Bomb over there. You do not have to do that. What you do need to be careful of are the snipers in the back of the room. They can one-shot you if you are not careful. If you have even just a little bit of damage marked off there, you will actually die to them. They hit incredibly strong. So what I'm trying to do here is create a death box for all of these Ravagers who are over here. Sometimes you'll be lucky and you'll be able to make a Warmind cell. In some of these runs that I did, I actually got a Warmind cell to spawn back over behind where all the Ravagers spawned up. And luckily, I was able to tag it as soon as they spawned, and I was able to knock them all out. Again, I was going for pure speed there. You don't have to use your super, but here I'm leaving with 20 minutes on the clock, which is very good. If you are at 18 minutes on the clock at this point, you might just want to start over again because you need as much time as possible. You certainly can get through the next rooms quicker, but if you're at 18 minutes at that point, that might just be a restart. At this point, you'll notice I am reloading all of my weapons, especially in this mission. There are a lot of times you're being chased by enemies. Having loaded weapons is huge. Now, I'm charging a grenade and placing it right there so we can try and take care of all those lurkers, plus the chieftain that is an arc chieftain here. He can be very annoying and he can hit you from a distance and also keep you from moving. So I'm trying to kill him as quickly as possible and then knock out the chieftain that is upstairs. Now, he's using a void shield, which is pretty tough because you can see I'm using all arc weapons, plus I'm using void for my super. What you will have to do is you'll have to kill all the guys that are down below on the left-hand side, as well as the folks up on top or down below to spawn the next set of enemies. Once they are all toasted and you've got enough enemies down, you will see a number of Ravagers as well as the Abominations start to spawn. As soon as that happens, I'm going to unload my super there, and then I'm going to try and do as much damage to that Abomination as possible. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create another kill zone here for these Ravagers, and here, this gets very tight here. There are a lot of enemies that are going to try and chase you. Even if you create more mine cells to blow them all up, there may be times you won't be able to shoot it. So what you want to do is be as careful as possible, and I highly recommend that if you're running this, do not have any other music or any other distractions on, because the enemies will sneak up on you, and having those sound cues is absolutely necessary. So here I heard the screeb coming. I was able to turn around and be like, okay, there's a screeb coming, and usually they come up in a spawn of 3. So that is something you want to make sure you pay attention for. Look for the 3 screebs. As soon as you get one Abomination down, there will be a number of chieftains that will respawn. If you do it correctly, there will be chieftains that won't actually respawn. So for example, there won't be 2 chieftains that will spawn, but I take care of these guys up here because it's almost necessary to control that upper area especially with the grenades. Now here I'm in a little bit of a tough spot, and unfortunately I got some really bad luck in the hangar bay area. A lot of times the Void Chieftain upstairs can shoot the grenades that you're trying to charge out of the way, and that could be a problem. So here I'm going to have to risk it a little bit, and this is a very risky move. If you don't have to do it, don't, because I could have easily died there. But I wanted to get my grenade back as quickly as possible. Once that Void Shield is off, I can go ahead and hit it there and then get back to cover and run away. If you don't have Anarchy, Wither Horde is another really good choice for a duration while you're hiding behind walls weapon. Down here, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the Chieftain down here, who is very annoying, unfortunately. He likes to hide, and anytime you try to push him, he likes to move in a lot of different directions and hide behind cover, but that's the way it goes. There, if you can make some Warmind cells, you primarily want to save the Warmind cells for the shielded captain that is solar, because the Warmind cells will absolutely knock out the shields for the solar enemy, since they are technically solar weapons. You can see that I've got the arc version of that Captain Toast. Now this is where I run into some really bad luck here. Unfortunately, I just don't have my super here. I don't really have my grenade, although you'll see I'm going to go ahead and use my rift to create some grenade energy right here. I'm still waiting on it, and I basically just have to wait, drop some Anarchy on the bosses or the abomination when I can. I'm pretty much stuck in this moment and in this spot. You can control where the abominations sit depending on where you're standing. You can see I'm kind of moving him around the grenade, trying to get him to stay in it, and that's probably the best thing you can do. And then unfortunately, I don't want to go down there and just go finish him, because that would leave me at the mercy of all those lurkers and the chieftain that is down below that is solar. And unfortunately here I got another piece of bad luck. All of those lurkers stayed there, and instead of dying to the Anarchy that I had, they all got in the way when I was shooting with my super. So unfortunately that was a wasted super. This was a really bad version, these last couple of minutes of this encounter. The opening couple minutes of this was really spot on, but as soon as we got to this bottom area here, it just went sideways. So I almost reset on this run, but I decided to push through and just see how it goes. So you can see that I'm actually just shaking the screen here, because the captain is just, or the chieftain is just not cooperating. As soon as I get him down low enough so I can finish him, I need to move on. Leaving with under 15 minutes here is not great. It's not awesome. I have left there with more than 16 minutes left on the clock, but unfortunately on those other runs, something went wrong. So I actually did complete it on this run after a couple of trials and hits and misses. So that's the big thing you will learn when you do this mission and you're attempting to do it solo flawless on the master difficulty. Just actually going through the mission, figuring out your charting and your pathing is going to be huge. Understanding how enemies move when they're sitting in grenades and while you're sitting in cover, the things that you need to do, those are all great opportunities to learn how the PvE mechanics in this game work. Where do the chieftains go when they're getting hit by a grenade if you're sitting behind cover? Those are all things that you can learn from here. All right, when we get to this room, I'm going to go ahead and charge up a grenade here. We're going to just let all of these screebs come on down and say hello. If you're lucky, you can sometimes make a Warmind cell here, and you can just blast through it. I'm going to show you a little shortcut. Here, obviously, you can grab the switch and then shoot that, but instead of going all the way back around and hitting the second switch, you don't need to hit that switch. That's just if you get trapped into that open area. So as soon as you can, jump out of that area and run around. That'll save you at least 10 seconds, which is very, very helpful. And you can move on to the next area. If I had an opportunity to do this again, I would really hope to have Anarchy as well as potentially super at this opportunity, but I don't have it here. I'm actually going to have to use it in a little bit. But you'll notice here, I'm trying to drag the screebs back since I don't have any Anarchy to create a safe kill zone for those folks. So here at this moment, I'm going to try and get some grenade energy, and I'm going to also try and get my super back as quickly as possible because time is of the essence. I'm already at 13 minutes in this room. Not great, but I'm going to go ahead and try and kill as many of these enemies as possible. Now, if you are really stressed for time, you don't have to kill those chieftains. And you'll see that I'm actually going to go ahead and skip one since I am low on time. I'm looking for ammo, still really looking for Anarchy ammo. Unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and use my sniper rifle to take out that Scorpius there, and we're going to move on. Again, here, while you're moving to the next area, you are going to want to make sure that you take cover and then jump down here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple speed strats for this. Some people may go ahead and kill some of these screebs that are in this area, but if you know how to deal with the exploding enemies, it actually works. So you see here, I just jump right over him. Since I jump right over him, that actually forces him to explode, and then I take no damage. So that actually worked out really well at this moment. Luckily, I got a little bit of Anarchy ammo, which is going to be very helpful as I go through this next room here. I'm going to go ahead and charge a grenade and put a kill zone right here. And just in case if any screeb gets this area. Now, if you really were pressed for Anarchy ammo and getting kills on these abominations that are sitting back there, you could potentially save some Anarchy for that. Be careful on these guys because they will be sneaky and they will move around the room left and right, and they will shoot you. It only takes 1 or 2 shots. So you can see that I stay pretty well hidden behind cover while I was doing this. If you can keep your super for that room, that is going to be fantastic. Again, here, I'm not really so concerned about ammunition and stuff like that because I'm going to be able to get a flag before I go into the boss room. I'm not doing great on time, but I'm also not doing terrible on time either. This is a little bit below average time at this moment. I've gotten this room with about 13 minutes before, which is really where you want to be because the last room, if you are forced to actually rush through it, it can kill you very quickly. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and charge a grenade or use some kind of a weapon to knock out these enemies as quickly as possible. Up here, I'm going to switch to a sniper and try to wreck him as quickly as possible. I've got my grenade back. If I had some Anarchy, I could throw it up there too. And because, again, time is of the essence, you want to make sure that you stay alive while you are pushing forward as quickly as possible. I don't need my Nova Bomb. So if some people are like, man, he wasted his Nova, what is he going to do? There's no more enemies before I pick up the next flag. So that's actually opportune. I don't have to worry about that turret going ahead and shooting me and killing me potentially. I need to be safe. So that is what I'm going to do. Pop my super. Now, if you're on a warlock, I will say you need to be pretty careful in these areas. It's very easy to bop your head on those pipes, as well as when you're jumping up to this platform from the opposite side. I actually died once because I just screwed up my jump. Of course, I am not a warlock main, so that is potentially the reason why. Okay, we are at the final room. I'm at under 10 minutes, which is very much not great. You're going to see I have a photo finish here, folks. It's really exciting to watch. I hope that you enjoy the fight. But here's what you're going to do. You are going to need to do as much duration damage to the boss away from him as possible. If you are trying to conserve ammo, you want to make sure you actually hit your sniper shots. And you'll see here when he is stuck and he actually tries to hit you with that flame attack, he's stuck in that position. So that's a great moment to hit him with a grenade or Anarchy or your super. So the problem that I have with this build right now is that I don't have any solar weapons or energy. So what you have to do is kind of rely on your grenades as well as more mine cells to knock off the shields of all the chieftains that are in this area. Now, luckily, a lot of enemies are going to start chasing you, but this is a perfect example of where this run can get pretty tough. You can see that the chieftain here is going to try and shoot me, but also stay behind cover. I'm just trying to continually deal damage to his shields so he doesn't generate ammo. If you stand in this little corner right there, he'll try to shoot you and he'll stay in that particular spot. But right here, I'm just reloading some stuff. I need to get after the third wave. Ideally, you'd go ahead and kill these guys, and theoretically, they'd make a war mine cell. But again, I'm pressed for time. So I'm going to try and kill them, get some grenade energy, and move around this corner and kill the chieftain using grenades as well as my SMG. Again, if you hide behind cover like this, he'll push back out into the center. You can see if you start to push, he'll either move left and right. Luckily, a war mine cell will get proc there. One cool trick is that if you are trying to activate any of these different displays or panels here, you can actually turn 180 degrees all the way around so you can actually shoot some of the enemies that are around. What I'm doing is moving from one side to the other. It is a little bit risky when you are doing that because you could die to the enemies that are on the opposite side of the map. But since I killed most of them with the Warm Mind cell, I wasn't concerned. You do need to be careful when you jump down, because if you jump down and you start to do damage to the boss, he can teleport right on top of you and start to do damage. So I push out and try to find out where he is. So there's a perfect opportune spot where he could almost kill you instantly. But what I want to do is do as much damage as I possibly can to him to get him to the next phase. So that's using Anarchy, the grenades, everything. Now I'm going to quickly rotate to the other side of the room. I'm going to try and get to this side of the room because on the opposite side of the room, there are no enemies without shields. It's just shielded enemies there. So I'm going to try and stick over at this side to make Warm Mind cells. If I go ahead and make Warm Mind cells in this area here, then I'll be able to rip off the shields of these folks and I'll at least be able to clear some of these enemies. Screeb will also start to shoot you here. And again, I'm getting pressed for time, so I'm having to make some tough choices. I'm starting to use some Anarchy. And Anarchy can do a good job of ripping off those shields, or at least keeping some damage on those chieftains. But you do need to be really careful here, because they will start to chase you and they are relentless. So here, I'm going to try and just rip off the shields and also get some of the different Scorn enemies all taken care of as well. Luckily here at this moment, I go ahead and take care of that chieftain and we're in good shape. Luckily here, I start to get some luck with my Warm Mind cell. So up there, you can see that there's a Warm Mind cell as well as an enemy here. I'm also getting some decent ammo drops, which is really nice. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and finish him. You need to instantly get back to cover, because if you stay out of cover, that chieftain from a distance will knock you out. So here, I'm trying to find a different angle and make sure that I don't get wrecked. Right here is a perfect opportunity to learn a little bit about the PvE mechanics when you are behind cover. You can see that I basically stayed behind cover there. He sat specifically in that spot where I had a grenade. If you understand that you can hide behind cover in certain positions and put a grenade there, that will keep the enemies taking damage. Sometimes they'll move left or right, but more often than not, when they're moving left or right, it's because you're pushing out and they can see you in their line of sight, and then they'll move left and right. So if you can understand how you can hide behind cover and then use your grenades, you're in good shape. Again, here you can go ahead and activate as well as reload weapons and just rinse and repeat. Again, be very careful. You will actually see a lot of these enemies start to come and push you at this moment. I'm going to go ahead and hide on this side. You'll notice that there is a pipe on the left side of that jumping area, which can be advantageous. But sometimes what will happen is if you're sitting on that pipe, you'll have enemies that will instantly spawn in and start to shoot you, and you won't have any time to respond. This is a perfect moment to kind of teach you about that. Right there are the arc shielded bosses there, the chieftains. You have to be really careful because they can kill you in only a few shots. Luckily, I make a Warm Mind cell down there that'll take care of a couple more Ravagers right there. Again, you can see that captain will push you right there, and it won't take much damage for you to die. So again, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of a different strat here. Instead of trying to hold down that position and try to keep moving, I'm going to get some different shots on the boss here because I want to move the needle. I need to move the boss and get him to take some damage here. And a lot of times it's just being careful and making sure that you move in a way that is careful. Right here, I'm going to go ahead, put down a rift just so I can live and then take out the next wave of these enemies here, potentially get a super so I can get him to the next phase. If you do this right, you could get 3 supers every time. It just depends on how much damage you do. Here, I could use my primary weapon to take care of some of those chieftains, but I'm just trying to push through it as quickly as I possibly can. Right here, perfect moment. He's rushing me, and now that I know that he's rushing me to do his attack, I can go ahead and hit him with my Nova Bomb, and that will stun him. That gives you a moment to get back up to where you need to go, and you'll be in good shape here. Again, I'm staying on this side because there are a number of unshielded enemies. I am really hoping that I can make a Warm Mind cell, and unfortunately, I'm not able to do it. But again, Screeb will start chasing you. And the problem with the third wave is that there are going to be more enemies that are going to start chasing you as well as spawning. Right there, I pushed the envelope just a little bit too hard. I almost died. That is where you have to be in this mission. You almost have to push it to the limit every single time. Right here, you can see the Scorn there. And instead of exploding that Warm Mind cell, they exploded in front of my face. So you do need to be really careful about that. Here, I'm running low on time, but I'm doing okay on Anarchy. Not great. And again, I need to get his shield down as quickly as possible. Ideally, you would have a grenade so that you can knock him out. Again, there's some really bad timing and some bad luck with this. A lot of the enemies didn't create more mind cells like I wanted them to. So you just have to do the best you can with what you got. I'm going to go ahead and sit behind cover here. Hopefully he'll stay in that nade. You can see now he's just staying in that nade. I can just keep ticking him away with my primary weapon. And I'm going to go ahead and charge a grenade again. At some point, if you need to risk it, you may need to move into the corners in the area up there on the ledge that he's standing. But hopefully what you'll be able to do is rip off his shields and then just snipe him from a distance. Luckily, I was able to get a Warmind cell built there so I could go ahead and kill most of the Ravagers that spawn up. And the Ravagers spawn up on this cycle. On the third cycle, you go ahead and get those Ravagers. Plus, when you do a certain amount of damage to the boss downstairs, you will also get another set of Ravagers. And again, I'm looking at the clock here. I only have a minute 35. Here's a perfect moment where I could have hit my shots. Unfortunately, I was pressed for time and I was really just trying to get through it as quickly as possible. You will see that it comes down to a photo finish, folks. So it was a pretty exciting run for me to do. Definitely not a perfect run, definitely not a speed run or anything else like that. I honestly could have gotten it done a lot faster, but the thing with this mission is that there's a lot left to look. So there's a Warmind cell that would have been really helpful a while ago, but that's just the way it is. Reload all your weapons again and pray that you get your super. I only had a minute left on the clock here, so again, I'm having to be careful, and now I'm having to chase down the boss, and he will hide behind different corners. It's just ridiculous how much he'll hide in certain damage phases here. Again, here, I'm going to go ahead and chuck a grenade. I'm going to try and get him to move forward as well as just get as much damage to him as possible, especially where he's moving. What I'm going to try and do, and ideally what you'd like to do, is have him come over to one of the sides, use your grenade, charge it as much as possible, and stand right over top of where the grate is, because he'll stay right there as well as the other enemies. Now, right there's a perfect opportunity for you to observe the behavior where he will move. He'll actually move and just instantly glitch out to your location. It's really annoying, but you just really need to be careful here. Here, I'm just trying to do a little bit of damage. And honestly there, folks, I'm looking at the clock and I'm just like, you know what? I just need to survive. I just need another second. Hit him with one more super, stay alive. Very, very risky because any of those enemies could have moved over. Luckily, I knew the Ravagers will only attack you if they've got a solid place to stand. And with less than 2 seconds on the clock, I was able to get it completed. So again, definitely not a perfect run. Lots of bad things happened, but you could probably get a cleaner run if you were lucky. You got better Warmind cells, if you got opportunities for the bosses and stuff like that to proc. The big thing here is you want to try and create your own luck as much as possible. Try to shoot as many of the enemies as you can that are unshielded with your Ikelos weapon, because that will allow you to create Warmind cells. That's the other nice thing about the Ikelos roll that I have. The fact that it is demolitionist, not only do I create grenade energy, but it also has the potential to make Warmind cells. If you're doing any kind of damage on any kind of a larger enemy and you need to get grenade energy back, that's when you want to charge your grenades with controversial holds and go ahead and knock them out. But there's lots of different ways to do this. You could definitely do a Wither Horde build. You could definitely use a different sniper other than the raid sniper. If you're not using Anarchy or Wither Horde, it's going to be pretty tough because there's a lot of moments where you need to move out in cover so that you can stay alive. And unfortunately, those are the only two weapons that I can think of there where you don't have to be in line of sight of a lot of the enemies. But I'm really interested in checking out some different builds for this for Hunter as well as Titan. I haven't yet seen a Titan build on this yet, so I'm excited to maybe look around and see if I can find something for the Titan mains out there to go ahead and take care of it. But you'll see that when I do this, I go ahead and get the emblem, the next chapter. And again, you don't need to do solo flawless. You just have to do flawless if you want to get that emblem too. So I just wanted to make this video for any of those people who are potentially interested in doing that. Thank you all so much for watching. And if this video helped you out, and only if it helped you out, consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a positive comment down below. Let me know what you did if you solo flawless this mission. I'm really interested in hearing about a lot of different builds here. I think this is a really cool mission. I'm really excited to see how the mission evolves. throughout the season of the Chosen. If you already need help with this mission or any kind of exotic help or even raids or PvE or anything else like that, come on over to twitch.tv/manodester777. We do a ton of raid helps over there. We would love to have you come and join our community. We have a Discord with over 3,000 people, which is growing every day. We want you to be a part of it, so come check that out. Good hunting, Guardians. I will see you next time in the universe of Destiny.